Let's talk about something we do all day, every day, without even thinking about it: breathing. But what if I told you there is a profound connection between how you breathe, what's going on in your head, and even your spiritual path? We're diving deep into the mechanics of our own bodies, drawing from chapter 6 of the book Zazen to see how this simple act holds the key to a radical transformation.
Seriously, think about that for a second. 20,000 breaths every single day. Now, the source material we're looking at makes a pretty bold claim. The quality of those breaths might be the most important factor for your health, your lifespan, and your mental clarity. So it's a fair question, right? Is your breath a source of life, or is it quietly working against you?
All right, so first up, let's talk about a rhythm that we've almost completely lost. You see, the frantic pace of modern life has totally changed the way we breathe, and the consequences are, well, they're pretty staggering. There's a huge difference between how we breathe today and how we were probably designed to. Check this out. It's kind of wild when you see it laid out like this. The source points to a pretty simple rule in the animal kingdom. The slower you breathe, the longer you live. A tortoise, taking just one breath a minute, can live for centuries. An elephant, maybe 6 breaths a minute. And then there's us, the modern human, racing along at 18, 20, even more breaths per minute. It's a crystal clear relationship. More breaths, less time. And this isn't even about us versus animals. It's about us versus, well, us. According to the text, back in the Buddhist time, the average person was breathing around 8 times a minute. Today, we've more than doubled it. That's not just a small shift, it's a complete rewrite of our body's basic operating system. So here's the kicker. The connection the text makes, it's like a chain reaction. Now, when it says delusions, it doesn't mean you're seeing things. Think of it as that constant, restless chatter in your head. The worries, the distractions, the anxieties. So fast breathing means you're burning a ton of energy. That high energy burn is a sign of a busy, agitated mind. And a mind like that, it leads to a state of constant stress and suffering. Your breath is basically a mirror of your mind. And this isn't just some abstract theory. Look at the real-world data the source points to. The United States, which apparently has the highest average breathing rate, also has the highest percentage of mental health patients. South Korea comes in second for breathing rate and, tragically, has the highest suicide rate. The text presents this as a direct physiological warning sign on a global scale. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of how this happens. How do our thoughts literally trap us and make us sick? It turns out there's a very specific physical loop that gets created in our bodies. The main culprit here is something the text calls terminal muscles. These are teeny tiny involuntary muscles deep inside your lungs, right at the ends of your bronchial tubes. You can't feel them, you can't control them. But when your mind gets stressed or agitated, these little muscles clamp down, literally choking off the oxygen supply to your lung cells. And that right there creates this nasty, vicious cycle. It starts with a thought, a worry, some anxiety. That mental state makes the terminal muscles contract. Immediately, your oxygen intake drops. Your body feels that oxygen shortage as discomfort, as unease, which of course just fuels more anxious thoughts and delusions. And around we go, spiraling down. But here's the good news. It is absolutely possible to reverse this cycle. In fact, according to the text, by consciously slowing your breath, you don't just break the cycle, you can trigger a series of incredible physical transformations. The source actually frames them as 4 distinct upgrades to your body. The first upgrade kicks in when you get your breathing rate below 10 breaths a minute. At this point, your body is finally getting enough oxygen to create what's described as high-energy blood. This stuff is powerful enough to start clearing out the blockages in your body's energy channels, or meridians. People often feel this as a warm sensation flowing through them as things open up. Now, things get really interesting. When you can slow your breath down so much that one full cycle, in and out, takes 30 to 50 seconds, you hit the second upgrade. Your body starts to generate a potent bioelectric energy called true qi. This is described as a totally different feeling, more like a tingling electric hum that starts to have a major impact on your central nervous system. The third upgrade? Honestly, this is pretty mind-blowing. When one breath cycle lasts for more than a minute, the text claims your heart can slow way down or even stop beating altogether. But your blood keeps circulating, moved by subtle pressure changes in the body. This state is called body liquefaction, and it's a time of deep cellular purification. And finally, the fourth upgrade.
Get your breath cycle to last 2 to 3 minutes. And the source says you might stop breathing through your nose entirely. Instead, the pores of your skin open up and start absorbing oxygen directly from the air around you. The text calls this body vaporization, a state where the body just operates beyond its normal biological rules. Now, this whole path is incredibly precise, and the source gives a serious warning that some really common spiritual practices, if you don't understand the mechanics, can actually mess you up. They can completely sabotage your progress and even make you sick by getting in the way of your breathing. Let's take chanting. The text is super clear about this. The absolute best way is silent recitation. Just in your mind, it calms everything down. The worst way? Chanting out loud. Why? Because you're forcing long breaths out, which tenses up your chest and abs, leading to a chronic lack of oxygen and a buildup of pressure in your head. One of the big dangers with improper breathing is something called reactive oxygen species, or ROS. Here's a great way to think about it. It's like oxygen with an expiration date. If your blood flow gets blocked somewhere, the oxygen sitting in that trapped blood basically goes stale. It becomes toxic, causing inflammation, which is what speeds up aging and disease. And holding your breath can be especially risky if you're doing it wrong. When you hold your breath under pressure, gases that are normally dissolved in your blood, like carbon dioxide and nitrogen, can actually form tiny bubbles. And because you're not breathing out, those bubbles get sucked back into your circulation, creating what the text graphically calls frothy blood. And this frothy blood is no joke. The bubbles can get stuck in your joints, blocking blood flow and causing things like arthritis. They can get trapped in your head and lead to sinus or ear infections. Your whole body just feels stiff and wrong. And forget about making any spiritual progress. You just hit a wall. So after hearing about all these dangers, these terminal muscles, toxic oxygen, frothy blood, you're probably thinking, wow, this sounds really complicated and kind of scary. So what's the solution? How do you avoid all these pitfalls? Well, the text offers a single master key, a surprisingly simple answer to a very complex problem. That's it. That's the secret. It's not some fancy breathing technique or a special posture. The ultimate key, the thing that unlocks everything and solves all these problems, is a state of mind. It's simply to empty your mind. And this isn't just a metaphor, it's a physical process. When your mind is truly quiet and empty, your body can relax on a level that's just impossible otherwise. And in that state of profound relaxation, the pores of your skin open up, allowing all those gas bubbles and other junk trapped in your blood to literally be pushed out through your skin. The mental state triggers a physical purge. So, let's wrap this all up. What are the big takeaways here? First, your breath rate is a live readout of what's happening in your mind. Second, that mental chatter creates real physical tension that is starving your body of oxygen. Third, by slowing your breath down, you can trigger a series of amazing physical upgrades. And finally, the ultimate trick isn't to force anything, but to empty the mind, which lets the body heal and purify itself. The source is basically saying that this whole spiritual journey is a physical process. Enlightenment isn't some abstract idea. It's something that happens in your cells. It's a challenge to stop thinking and start feeling. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Right now, in this very moment, what is your breath telling your body?